Yeah, I can't believe there's 3 of them either. So we come to the end of the Balto trilogy that I only did 2 videos on. Look, the first one really is a decent adventure, okay? No reason to look at it, but these sequels spit in the face of the mediocrity of the original, snuff out the good animation, and leave us with boring to look at and sloppily written follow-ups. So, why were there 3? I don't know. No matter how deep I look, the reason for a sequel seems lost to time. Were there really enough profits to justify another one? Because this one took 2 more years to make. No idea why they didn't just give up on it by then, but here we are. In 2004, Balto 3 hit DVD shelves and lost any of the money that was thrown into it like a burning barrel of musty wolf pelts. This time around, though, we've moved on from the self-inquisitive philosophy and confused narratives and graduated to mundane table scraps of a story. Let's ready up to put on those harnesses one last time. For whatever reason the universe allowed it, this is Balto 3. We open on establishing shots showing Cody, one of Balto's kids from the last movie, delivering mail to Nome with his dog sled team, as well as all of them getting along and Balto watching and yes, very emotional. We also get a song that lists off the wonderful things about Alaska while simultaneously competing with Alec Baldwin for the world's most generic song. Meanwhile, Balto takes Jenna up to a mountain to show her a strange noise he heard. Turns out it's the sound of a plane passing overhead. The two try to keep up with it but are no match for its speed. Balto fantasizes about flying in it, and because this is a kid's film and he makes a big thing out of it, that's what's going to happen by the end. In town, Balto and Jenna meet up with their enthusiastic son Cody, who's proud of his job as a mail courier and wants to be lead dog someday like his father. This little reunion is interrupted, however, as Balto sees the plane has landed in town and goes to investigate. Here, he meets the pilot named Duke.
Hey, boy. A dog welcoming committee, huh? Why don't you guard my plane for a few minutes? I'll be back soon.
He's dreamy. Anyway, he heads into the post office to talk to the postmaster or someone, and...
So where's Boris?
Oh, no. We were moving along, the story was progressing, characters were interacting. Do not dick fiddle this thing with... Well, as if the sequel to another sequel to Balto wasn't crippling already, they made the genius decision to give Boris a fucking subplot in this. Like, I'd say about a quarter of the movie's screen time is spent developing this story. What is it? Well, while Boris is bathing, in comes what I believe the kids are calling a thought.
Morning, big boy. Your movement is getting me grooving.
We do not fuck Birdshade. We do not fuck Birdshade. No, but seriously, Stella is played up so seductively, I honestly thought she was trying to get something out of Boris. I mean, listen to how she talks to him.
You cannot see I'm taking personal bath here.
You bet your little patootie, honey. But I figure 2 in a bath is a whole lot more fun than 1. Bodies, it is. You know, that's a strong, handsome name for a strong, handsome goose.
She's making it rain wherever she flies, and it's for Boris. Boris! Did she sit on a frayed telephone line? Why is this bird attracted to him? She must have fallen out of the sky 12 too many times, but I digress. So, Stella is new to town, just flying in for the summer, and for some reason she wants to fly with him later, maybe see the sights, but Boris is scared of flying. So, he runs to Balto and begs him to lie for him and get him out of it, because when has prolonging the inevitable and lying to someone you love ever gone wrong? Well, regardless, Balto instead offers to help Boris overcome his fears of flying with some hilarious slapstick involved, but it doesn't seem to work. It does, however, offer me some time to see Boris beaten around, and that's a small bit of joy I get from all this pointlessness. In town, the sled dogs overhear the pilot Duke is in talks with the postmaster over using plane delivery instead of sled dogs. However, they agree that to settle everything and decide which method is fastest and most reliable, the plane and the dog sled team will have a race. So naturally, Cody and his team want Balto to lead them. But we can handle all that off screen for now. Why? Because Boris is hooking up with Stella. Yes, this is actually what the film wants you to care about, a romance between a thick, sexy goose and a Russian accent attached to a bird. Hell, Stella even has a song. Wait, no.
I'd like to rest against your chest. How'd you like to do a little flying with me?
It's not even that bad. I just don't want to hear another musical. Make it stop. Thankfully, Balto comes running to tell Boris about the race between the bush plane and the sled team, getting Boris away from Stella so he can prolong this little subplot even further. As for why Balto needed to tell Boris this right now and interrupt their date, I don't know. Moving on, Boris has hatched another plan to trick Stella, being so likable, and Balto once again urges him to confess to no avail. Cody is all for his father leading the team, and all the sled dogs seem far too confident, and while Balto agrees to do it, he doesn't want to disappoint anyone, having seen how fast the plane is and not being sure they can pull it off. So he goes to see Jenna about what she thinks, her home now sitting atop its own hill for dramatic effect. She tells him that Cody will always love and admire him, and this doesn't change a thing, and yeah, we know what's coming.
And when the race is over, believe in who you are, like too. He can run.
Just watch this shit get copyright claimed for another song because of how generic they all are. Being honest though, this song may be somewhat bland like the other one, but paired with Balto's memories of rather unfairly spending a lot of time with Cody over the rest of his kids, it's actually quite sentimental and made me feel something. Not much, but it's a start. Afterwards, Balto heads back home, crossing the plane on the way home and taking a moment to look it over. Here again, Duke shows us and Balto that he's not a terrible guy, just passionate about flying. That's really it though. Duke's kind of without personality. But I guess we really needed to know about Boris's love life. Yeah, I'm not letting that go. That's such a stupid subplot. Speaking of, that subplot comes back. Joy. Boris has Stella hand-feeding him and rubbing his back, and oh god, just what a nice guy. Seriously, he's pretty scummy in this. Maybe it's just my bias for this annoying little bastard, but I don't know, he seems like he's enjoying this a little too much. Boris continues lying into tomorrow about an injury that he received years ago that prevents him from flying. And the day of the race, guess who overhears Boris boasting about his lies? Again, Boris, just such a really great guy. Stella, enraged, chases Boris into a bag of mail that gets loaded onto the plane. Somehow nobody manages to see this, and the race is on. The plane reaches its destination first, giving them their mail and collecting the mail for return, but gets stuck for a bit due to ice on the wing. This gives Balto and his team, when they arrive, enough time to get a head start. However, the plane is soon closing in, and only falls behind due to a thick fog and clipping a tree with its wing, causing it to crash land, with Duke and Boris inside. Balto and his team return to the town with the mail, to applause and praise. However, while celebrating, Cody thanks his father for saving their jobs, only for Balto to, rather brutally, just drop the fact that they won't always beat the plane and that their day is coming. So a bit upset by his father's pessimism, Cody runs off. Jenna tells off Balto for being a bit rude, which leads into Balto realizing that Duke hasn't actually come back yet. Fucking sucks show up, thankfully only making me see a light shade of red before telling Balto and Jenna of a monster that chased them out of the woods. Of course, Balto realizes this is Duke's plane and runs off to get help. However, it seems the team of male dogs doesn't quite buy Balto's story.
I mean, your sources are a couple of mentally challenged polar bears talking about a monster. Need I say more?
You are now my favorite character. Everybody, this is now Best Doggo. What's your name, Kirby? Okay, take him off the hit list. Good boy. So the male dogs are a little bitter about the guy trying to take their jobs and refuse to go find him. Balto goes off to do it alone, unable to even convince his son to help him. You know, weird time to do this, but I'm noticing something about this movie. It's boring, but it handles the ideas well enough, and frankly, I like Balto in this a lot more than the last one, his son too. Where Lou and Balto had little to no personalities, here there's a tiny bit more definition, at least morally. It's just that it's so fucking boring. Nothing challenging, nothing new, just boring. As Balto runs off to rescue the man, Stella catches up and asks where Boris is, telling Balto how she chased him onto the plane. So naturally, when Balto tells her that the plane went down, Stella feels horrible and comes along. And so they, oh no, you brought those two? Look, I know what I said about Jenna and Wolf Quest and how she could help, you know, the extra paws and whatnot, and I'm sure Cody wouldn't help, but really, out of anyone else you could have brought, you brought
A couple of mentally challenged polar bears.
You're my guy, Kirby. Good boy. Meanwhile, back home, Cody gets chewed out by Jenna for not going with his father, so that way he can surprise us and rescue Balto later. So because the ice is melting since summer is coming, Balto and the bears fall into a river to the tune of swanky jazz or something.
Muck! Look! There's got to be a way out. I'll fly ahead and look for something! Hurry!
That's fitting for a life-threatening situation. By pure luck, before careening over a waterfall, they manage to get stuck on a giant piece of ice and hop off to the side. Actually, close to where they need to be. Up and Chuck aren't too pleased, as this is moose territory. If that's the case, though, why were you out here in the first place in moose territory when the plane crashed? They probably forgot who they were mid-shit or something and wandered out here. Forgot who I'm talking about.
A couple of mentally challenged polar bears.
But what luck, they found the plane. But so did a taxi driver reference.
You talking to me? You talking to me? I just want to know if you're talking to me. You talking to me? I think you're talking to me.
Luckily, though, another moose distracts him so that Balto and company can get away. They investigate the crash site, finding the man, and after a short while, Boris, buried underneath freshly fallen snow.
What am I doing here?
Uncle Boris!
Can I ask how either of these two ended up being alive? Maybe Duke could by chance, but this bird did not lay under thick packing snow for hours until so stiff his wings can't move, and then just wake up. I don't know, maybe I just want him dead. Yeah, I do. I need help. So, Boris and Stella and the bears head back home, while Balto stays behind with Duke. Duke finally comes to, a little too easily actually. But it's a good thing he suffered no worse than a banged up knee from all those hours in the cold after a plane crash. Also, no scars or anything, not even a bruise on the noggin. Using ropes and a metal sheet from the wreckage, Balto pulls Duke toward town. Yeah, then this happens, and Balto and Duke start slipping off the edge. Now, can you guess who comes to save them? I bet you can't. Of course you did. Cody and the mail dogs come, saving Balto and Duke and helping them get back to town, returning to thunderous applause once again. Stella and Boris make up, and Boris comes clean about his fear of flying. Stella accepts him, and they go for a little dip in the water. The next day, we see that Duke rewards Balto for his help by letting him fly in the bush plane, even renaming it to the Balto Flyer. The day's been saved, and the movie ends. If that felt rushed, trust me, it felt a lot longer than it was. That was Balto 3. What can I say? It's a movie. Yeah, this one was surprisingly not that bad. Not that bad. Still bad. Positives first. The animation is surprisingly decent given it's the third installment, and yet the quality and fluidity improved and got less stiff. The CGI is still really cheap, but it's also used sparingly. The story is simple, but in concept isn't actually that bad, and as a result they have little they can screw up. Characters are still flat, but some, like Balto and Cody, have relatable traits. One a father trying to do right by everyone, especially his son who idolizes him, and Cody who just wants to make his dad proud and is trying to save his job. If I had to put all this film's problem into one word, it would be boring. It's not even really that bad, but it's got nothing entertaining. The action sequences near the end are short and injected just for the sake of having something happen. Otherwise, it's a lot of talking or bad jokes or singing. Oh yeah, speaking of. It's trying to be a musical again, but gives up on it about halfway through. There's only 2 songs, but both are boring and forgettable, and they're only there to either pad the runtime or make you connect with the characters so the story and actions of those characters don't have to do it on their own. All in all, I'd say this movie was crap, but if you look past small things or enjoy the songs somehow, you'll most likely still forget that you watched it in about an hour. But it won't give you a migraine like the last one. Still, it didn't have psychic dogs or One with the Trees, so I'm afraid I won't remember this one, let's say, as fondly as I do Wolf Quest. It just had more memorable stuff going on in it. Then again, at the end of the day, I'd do best just to forget any sequels to Balto exist. Thanks so much for 20 subscribers, by the way, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys. Okay, I'm leaving this part in as a little explanation for why this video is so short after, 2 weeks of work. Almost an entire week of that 2 weeks, I kind of may have been a little depressed and having some troubles at work. Things have been going on in my life, personal things that have been kind of complicating the situation. And that's not an excuse at all. I should have definitely had this done regardless. But, to lower my stress, I decided that I wasn't going to watch Balto until maybe a few days later, and I kept pushing it off and pushing it off. And this is my rambling, horrible, incoherent way of basically telling you that I pushed it off for almost an entire week. So I only had about 3 or 4 days to record the audio and edit the video, which, considering how slow I am at editing, despite being, having gone to school for it, it makes me kind of sad that it took me so long to put all this together and it's still so short and crappy. Still, I hope you enjoyed it, and I promise I'm going to start consistently I'll start making things of consistent quality, as I won't let you down, is all I'm trying to say. Okay, I'll fuck off now. Thanks.